Hello.
Hello. I was told you'd like to speak to me.
I would indeed, yes. I just wanted to catch up. It's been a while since we've actually spoken. I think if you want me to kind of head this way, it'd be more in the middle of
It's,
it.
it's been
Perfect. I intended to do
smooth as silk.
that. Classic. Just get up the stairs here.
But I've been keeping well. I have been mostly just doing some cleaning around. I was able to build a small little library tower of my own home. And also, I believe if you've been here, you've probably seen the sign that I finished up with
Yes.
the glowstone application.
I did see it. I took a look around the cavern. It is wonderful. I am super appreciative of your work. That's great.
Of course, the payment was more than enough motivation.
Good. I'm glad you found it fair. Um, as someone who kind of represents the I guess we don't really have a church, quote unquote, on this server, but as someone who represents kind of how the people revere the deities, just based off the work you've done for them and in their name, I value your opinion highly, and I'm sure you've heard by now because it's been around, just about how Undercity has become an official city-state and written down a founding document and its own form of governance
Yes.
and such. Yeah.
Yes, I made my way up to the notice board recently, seeing that there was a notice board now. I briefly looked it over, and is probably the most solid sense of governance and that this server has gotten. And I am thankful that you were able to set out some clear rules in regards to rules, especially after the what I would say kangaroo court we took
Yeah.
part in.
Yeah, that was really the goal of it for sure. And I'm glad to hear that you have a positive view of what we're doing here. That relieves my sense of self doubt quite a bit, if I'm being honest. Did you have any further thoughts or opinions or questions on Undercity as a whole, as a topic?
Well, I guess the only thing that I could think of at the moment is what is the overall goal for establishing this city. Cities and organizations and governments don't usually come into fruition just on a whim.
That is true. Yeah, it was spurred on by the court and how that kind of went on, when it was left to just the public and to our collective interpretation, and how it was kind of the general consensus of everyone that whether the verdict was correct or not, the way that it happened was maybe not the most frugal, right? And so that was what spurred on the creation, just to have a set of laws and a set of rules and a set of governance, right? But the goal of Undercity as a whole is to prosper and better the lives of everyone who is a member. My personal wish is to better and prosper the lives of everyone on the server. But I obviously I'm not going to force the way that I think things might be done best onto anyone. So just
Yes,
whoever wishes to take part.
Because that would defeat the purpose, wouldn't it?
Exactly. Yes, you understand.
All too well. In all honesty, that court, after handing it off to the public opinion, it was, in a way of shifting the responsibility on my part.
Oh, of course.
I was very much uninvolved with the situation, and while I did offer my services, it was more out of politeness than true feeling of responsibility.
Yes, understandable.
After all, my priority is more so just simply living as the gods intended, and in doing so, honoring their wishes.
Yeah, that is an admirable goal, to be sure. And to be clear, I don't think anyone's opinion of the court and how it went as a whole is at all a reflection of you and your efforts. I think everyone was grateful that you stepped up and took that responsibility. At least I was, for sure. I can say that with confidence.
Well, I'm glad that the little, I wouldn't say white lie, but the little small bit of cowardice at the end didn't come off as being too telling of my character.
Oh no, it was fine. I'm sure you did your best, and I think everybody understands that for sure. Um, well, as you stated, your goal is to live out a life that would most please the deities, Creatrix, Forge Master, and the Trickster. I ponder myself if you would be at all interested in joining Undercity and becoming a signed member and taking part of our benefits and of our prosperity, and lending
Yes,
your aid to us.
You mentioned that before when after our first I say small, but small but valuable trade. I believe you did
Yes.
mention that, which was actually right after the court incident, so you had already been considering this for a while.
It's been in a few people's heads for a minute, yeah. But yes, it was brought up to you previously, and I think you said that you'd think about it and get back to me, and here we are discussing it.
Yes. Uh, and as you mentioned, in other people's heads as well, whose other heads might they be?
Well, it was Holter and I originally who came up with the idea and kind of put it into practice and put it in writing, just because we were the only actual members of Undercity at first. Um, but
And
now,
your numbers have since grown.
yes, now I hold a position of proctor. Holter and Misbehaving both hold council person positions in the city. And Ollie has actually recently joined as a signed member. We additionally, we had one other. We had Sabra was a signed member for a little bit there, but had an unfortunate happenstance upon them.
Some disagreement.
No, actually, Sabra. I don't know. Again, we haven't spoken in a long time. I'm not sure what else gone around. Sabra, unfortunately, lost her soul item, and then before she could beseech the Forge Master for a new one, she perished in the Nether, which was
I see.
it was very sad.
I was aware that they were a new arrival, but I hadn't honestly had the chance to meet them.
Yes, yeah, it was very unfortunately short-lived, their arrival, which was a great sadness to those of us in Undercity for sure, and a few others beyond who had the pleasure of knowing her.
Great shame. Yes.
Indeed. But yeah, that is where we stand currently, with 4 current signed members of Undercity. 3 of them acting
Also,
as
just as a slight out of character moment, because I forget.
sure.
Username the Cajun is Holter, correct?
No, username
That's different.
the Ginger Gamer is Holter.
Right. Yes.
Yeah,
So Cajun is just okay.
yes, Cajun is separate. He's a mercenary. He
confused.
does his own thing.
Right. I say that because in character, switching on and off. Are you familiar with the Cajun?
Yes, actually, we had a relationship, a sort of friendship before Undercity was a thing. He and Holter and I kind of came into the server together, and helped each other out at the very beginning of it all. So I know him, yes. But he.
And are you at all aware of his recent activities?
Recent activities. I know that he is sort of a sellsword of sorts. I know that he put his kind of advertisement for himself and his abilities in the newsstand, I think, last I heard. Is that what you're referring to?
If it were that simple, I doubt I would have brought it up to you.
Fair.
Recently, and a few others will vouch for this as well, there was a slight dark, I would say, reverberation felt in some of us. And being slightly knowledgeable on these sorts of matters, I recognize it as a being of gross power and of dark origin being summoned
Oh. What's...
And seeing as how I'm mostly familiar with with most of the members of the server, and those that I'm unfamiliar with, you have vouched for.
Mm-hmm.
I can only assume that it was the Cajun who did this.
Oh.
As for whether this creature has been slain by him or otherwise, I have yet to find out.
Interesting. Summoned a dark creature. You say I had no knowledge of this for sure. That is interesting. That is very interesting.
That would depend on your definition of interesting.
You're not wrong. It takes a great effort just to be able to do such a thing, and even more so to slay it once you've summoned it. But the rewards are understandable if that's what someone wishes to do. It's just kind of a lot.
Yes, that is where my concern lies, in if that is what he meant to do.
Right.
If it has been done.
I would hope so. I mean, as someone who's, had a previous relationship with him, I can definitely bring it up and ask him about it. That dog is jamming out to some...
Nodding a lot. And also, since could be a relation, but could not be, I've heard tell of even more ominous signs being placed around, and your member of Undercity says that they are not them, that it is not them this time, which, based on the nature and text of these signs, I might be inclined to believe. These signs seem a bit more dire.
So more signs have been appearing with dark messages, and that was something Ollie used to do to promote their well.
Yes, I'm not blaming them. I'll make that clear. Their messages were significantly lighter and much more promotional. These are ominous.
Interesting.
Such as a sign saying this is a house of lies and deceit in the temple.
Oh. That's
as well as
not good.
Another recent addition to this land that I had a slight meeting with near their properties, just a sign that says he is a liar.
Wow.
And the sign pointing towards the mountain was replaced by saying towards the godless mountain.
Oh no.
So you can understand my concern.
Yeah, that is concerning to say the least. I share your concern in that happening. I was unaware of this as well. Well, if you've read the newsletter recently, though, my mind immediately suspects, though obviously fruitlessly, but immediately tends to think of the newest group that has been started, the cult of the trickster.
Yes, that I would be inclined to think so as well, but these signs seem to be straying away from godly affiliation.
That's true. That is true.
Well, I would say organization cult seems harsh at the time. For the time being, organization seems to more celebrate rather than admonish.
Well, there you have it then. I suppose it might not be them. I'm completely unaware and in the dark as to what the I believe they call themselves COT, C-O-T. I'm completely unaware of what their motivations or goals are. Just off-put that they are, there in the first place. But I don't know. Maybe they're fine. Who knows? I don't know who else would be responsible for such signs then.
It escapes my assumptions as well. So I figured I might as well raise the issue towards someone I would like to believe is a trusted friend, despite us not being directly affiliated.
Yes, absolutely. You've shown me great kindness in the past and have my full support in each of your endeavors, that at least that I know of. So, yeah, I would glad to call you friend, and will definitely be on the alert and look out for who the culprit might be to the whole sign situation as well.
Of course. And by the way, I haven't stepped foot in that cave under the mountain since that one time with when we were first with Ollie and that whole business with
Right.
the book.
Yes.
Do you know if anybody has been there recently? Because if you do know, then honestly, that might be the first thing I would think of, or
Yeah.
first person I would think of.
Well, a lot has happened in that cave since the moment you are referring to. We know that Guy and Ollie both had correspondence with the trickster, from writing them messages in that cave. In fact, it was the trickster who goaded Guy into stealing everybody's beds and wool on the server. Well, almost everybody's, everybody he could find.
Oh, I see.
And once Misbehaving and I found that out, we ourselves delved into the cave and wrote the trickster, asking them who it was, firstly, and then just kind of telling them that that's not cool, that they would pay somebody to take all of our beds and wool and stuff. But that's the last time that I've been to the cave, and the last that I know of anybody going to the cave, but it seems like Guy and Ollie were pretty frequent visitors of it.
So there's been more than one, which doesn't exactly narrow it down.
Right.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not too much of an investigative worker, so I wouldn't really know where else to look, so...
Fair enough.
I will leave that to those more intelligent than I.
That is fair. If a crime gets done to a member of Undercity, I kind of take on the role of investigator, though some of the council people help me for sure. But apart from that, I'm honestly just too busy trying to propel us into prosperity. You know, we're kind of rebuilding the whole cave structure. You can kind of see it on the far side, trying to turn it more into a city and less of just like a cavern, which will happen slowly and surely. But that's what's got most of my time recently. I will say, if you're looking for someone to put all of their efforts into investigating these matters, you brought up the Cajun earlier, and like I said, he is a sellsword. And I may not have had much contact with him recently, but just from looking at him, I can tell he's adept. Nice.
Sorry, I just saw it a while ago, and it's been slightly...
Nice.
But anyways, you were referencing the Cajun. While their sellsword reputation does provide that sort of reputation, I'm inclined to keep my distance based on the recent activity I mentioned as well.
Oh yes, that is true. That is fair.
Whatever he brought in is something that gives me discomfort.
Understandably so. Well, I'll keep
for the time being, it is only signs.
That's true.
So it is not something pressing and urgent.
That is true.
But I did feel that it was at least worthy of bringing up.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely appreciate and share your concerns. Like I said, will be just kind of busy being the proctor of Undercity for a hot moment, but I could talk with perhaps Misbehaving or Holter and see if anyone is willing to... Actually, Pilot was also, I believe, maybe not a mercenary, but was willing to do.
Oh, my bad.
You're good. I was confused there. I was a little shocked that you were just kind of punching.
Sorry,
me in the middle of
there's
talking.
dust on my mouse.
You're good. Pilot was maybe not a mercenary or a sellsword, but was offering their services of an investigative nature, I believe, back when Skylar's soul item was missing. So perhaps they could also be of service to you in that regard. But I'll make sure that Undercity is aware of what's happening and that we're all kind of keeping our eyes and ears open. And if we find anything, I will definitely let you know, friend. So.
Of course. Well, I'm glad that we were able to have this rendezvous and sort of hand off information.
Same. I find this relationship of ours profitable in both directions, which is good.
Yes. In relation to being a member of Undercity, while it is a very tempting offer, I do like to, being a follower of all the gods, and regardless of their ways, I'd like to keep myself open in that regard, and joining an organization based on what other people view that organization as might appear as me taking a side.
That is fair.
So I'd rather remain a sort of neutral third party, I guess. Or, I guess, independent.
Understandable, and definitely an appreciated viewpoint and opinion. So, absolutely. Makes sense.
I will still happily assist in any matters that you would have my need of, but
of course.
For the time being, it will just be in a more business-like manner than communal.
Understandable. And of course, I'm sure you're busy, being kind of the leader of, our representation to the gods, as I mentioned earlier. So, building
In all
temples and all that.
it doesn't keep me too busy.
Well, that's fair.
Everybody here seems to be quite strong-willed and, in some ways, independent in their own regard.
You are not wrong.
Which I enjoy. It is nice to know that people can rely on themselves, but if they ever need to rely on others, I just want the option for my services to be open.
Of course.
If they ever need others' support.
There's a very kind-hearted outlook that is appreciated by everyone, I'm sure. So, well, good on you. Good on you. Well, that is what I wanted to speak to you on, and I will echo what you said. I appreciate the exchanging of information here. That's helpful.
Of course. I don't do too much exploring, but within my circle, I will share any changes that happen.
Wonderful. Yeah. I lied. There is one other thing that just got brought to mind. Speaking of exploring, because you said that word, I had a map to a woodland mansion made by one of my villagers, and I went out to travel to it recently and found that someone had already been there and done what I was going to do and loot it up and dispel all evil and burn it to the ground, and it was very well looted. I was curious as to who that might have been. You wouldn't have happened to have heard anything on that, would you?
I have not. And in all honesty, I don't entirely know what a woodland mansion is, other than something that one of our denizens might have built. I'm saying that there was a structure out there not built by us.
Indeed. Yeah, they are, I believe, built by some of the pillager folk deep in the dark wood. They typically hold some...
I've heard of their folk. They're like your villagers that you have, but of a more sinister background.
Yes, indeed. And they've got some darker magics and abilities in the woodland mansions, but they also have certain gifts created and stashed away that can be taken if they are dealt with. So
I see. Well,
profitable to besiege.
Profitable indeed, but for one of my skills, probably not. Probably not worth the risk.
Fair.
Dark magics and dangerous individuals both sound unappealing to me.
Understandable, yeah. Of course.
But I have not heard of anybody venturing out in search of such a thing.
Interesting. Well, it's all right. I've got a second map to a second mansion anyway, so I'll still be able to do what it is that, well, Miss Behaviour and I originally set out to. So I was just curious as to who beat me to the punch.
Well, unfortunately, I can't offer much in that way of information, but thankfully, it would seem that your efforts aren't totally in vain with your second map. I'm in some ways interested in what the contents of such a mansion could be, but I am not of the right skill or bravery to venture out for such a thing myself. So, if you could inform me of what you find, that sort of information would be most welcome.
Indeed, yes. We plan on leaving at some point in the near future. Kind of put a pause on the construction here and go take a break of adventure. And when we come back, I will definitely let you know of our spoils. It'll be fun to go over together, kind of catch up too.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. You and Misbehaving do seem to be quite a pair of explorers.
You're not wrong.
There have been seldom times where I've come across one or the other that hasn't been when you haven't been together.
We are, like you said, like-minded individuals, which helps in a lot of things, both adventure and, well, running Undercity and such. So she's been a great help to me.
You two seem to be quite fit for each other.
So it would seem. Well, I appreciate your time and conversation, Cypher.
Of course, I appreciate it as well. And again, thank you for the offer, but I shall remain on my own for the time being.
Of course. Have a safe trip back.
Of course, the recent addition of bridges through this discomforting region have made it much easier.
Yes, well, we tried to make travel safe and quick for everyone. So.
Of course. Well, thank you again, and I will hopefully speak with you later, while I hope you're in one piece.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. Farewell. Very interesting. These books are empty and meaningless. Somebody's going Fahrenheit 51 on us. The cot is real. See, that's the thing. Let's see if there's anything new in here. Today we'll contact the Cajun by leaving a note here or with Fate Seeker. Enchantment books for sale. Inquire with Pilot. Oh, I might inquire with that. It was discovered by Guy. As far as Undercity and its members are concerned, let me go ahead and erase that since this was my post and somebody wrote at the end of it. Saber, I met a good friend named Moss. Huh. Part of Saber's... No, we miss you, Saber. Sad. Undercity is paying handsome sum 10 diamonds or other payment may be negotiated. Well, 10 diamonds per stack of 64 terracotta or concrete powder. Other prices can be negotiated as payment. Please speak with Fate Seeker dagger for trade. Done. We'll put that back in there.
Hello.
Hello. Greetings and well met. I was trying to see if I could spot you as you crossed the bridge with my spyglass, but I think I missed it.
Oh. Huh. Okay. So there's somebody changed up these signs here. Hey.
Yes. Apparently there's Cypher actually just told me there's somebody going around and putting a lot of like darker, more ominous signs about the place. Darker than what Ollie used to do, for sure.
Have you seen the ones in the Trickster Tunnel, whatever we're calling that down there?
No, I have not. I haven't been there in a hot minute.
Well, do you want to trade enchantment books or check that out first?
Let's trade first.
All right, that's fair. That's fair.
So I have a number of enchantment books at my disposal. I honestly just wanted to see what you had. I just wanted to peruse and see what wares you were offering.
It's a lot of like random stuff. So I brought with me here. I've got like sharpness 2, got knockback 1, bane of hello.
Hello.
Sorry, someone joined the VC.
Oh.
Got bane of anthropods, got power 2, and that's pretty much it.
So you don't have Depth Strider or Thorns anywhere?
I do not, unfortunately.
Drat. Those are the two that I've been looking for that I don't really have access to.
Dang.
If you get like Feather Falling, any of the movement-based ones, Soul Speed, I would be interested in those for sure.
Okay, say those for me again. I need to write these down.
Write them down. The two that I really want are Depth Strider.
Depth Strider.
And Thorns.
Thorns. Okay.
And then any of the movement-based ones I'd be okay with, like Soul Speed or Feather Falling. Yeah. Anything like that would be great.
Do you have any need for Aqua Affinity?
So that is one of the ones that I'm talking about, but I already got Aqua Affinity.
Okay.
Honestly, it's good to have a spare in case anything happens to this armor, and that's not one that I can get regularly. So I wouldn't mind trading for an Aqua Affinity.
Sure thing. Yeah, as soon as I get access to those, I can let you know.
Yes, please do. Okay.
Yeah,
Are they like...
I mean, I have like theories on like what they mean, but I don't know if any of them are right. It's honestly like it's just something you kind of have to see.
Okay. And they're like all the way deep down here in the thing?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I think one of them has to do with Cypher.
With Cypher?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Ow.
Oof. Liar, 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 liar. Pants on fire. The priest is a liar. Ask them of their soul item. Ask them, ask him, ask them, ask him, ask them, ask him.
Yeah, so you see what I mean?
I do. I see what you mean. That's a lot.
And so the green signs, right? Like that's a like I know some people like think that's a trickster thing, but I mean somebody could have just like broken one of the other ones and reused it, right?
Yes, that is true.
But like
This is interesting. See, when Cypher and I had a conversation recently about whoever was putting all of these signs up, he, kind of asked me to keep on a lookout and try to find out who it was that was putting them up. Not necessarily in those words, but I think that's what he was implying. But regardless, in that conversation, part of that conversation, I asked him if he thought that Cot could be kind of behind them, and he seemed to think that that's not the case because several of the signs implied godlessness, and the Cot, is a cult of one of the gods. So,
right.
Interesting that they'd be here, but I don't know. This just makes it more confusing to me, honestly.
Yeah.
Whether these signs are of the trickster or of the trickster's followers or just of someone else completely, I am very unsure.
I gotta talk to Cypher, man. Like, I haven't talked to him since the trial.
Oh, well. But yeah, talk to him. He's a very nice guy. I've had a number of dealings with him, and they've all been pleasant. So I hold him in high standing.
Yeah.
I'm also not, I'll tell you as I kind of told him, I'm not too overly concerned with all of the sign placing, just because in itself it's not harmful, right? So,
I mean, in itself it's not harmful, but it seems to point to something that's gonna happen. I don't know.
Fair enough. And if something harmful happens, then I'll take necessary action or precaution or whatever needs to take place. But until then, I'm not super concerned with it myself. I'm intrigued. Don't get me wrong. I'm curious as all get out, but my priority is kind of the work that I'm doing to help Undercity at the moment. So.
Right. You have a whole city to run.
Yeah. To look after at least. It's